Welcome to the next level of your underwater exploration. Ordinary compressed air limits how long you can stay down. By replacing some of that nitrogen with extra oxygen, creating a blend called Nitrox, you absorb less nitrogen into your body. This significantly extends your no decompression limits, giving you much more time to observe the underwater world. This chart shows the exact difference in those limits. Look at the 18-meter depth row. On standard air, your dive is capped at 56 minutes. By switching to EAN32, a blend with 32% oxygen, you push that limit to 95 minutes. You gain nearly 40 extra minutes of bottom time, which also helps reduce post-dive fatigue. Accessing those additional minutes requires a precise understanding of the physical boundaries Nitrox creates. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to calculate your high oxygen safety limits and execute the mandatory 6-step pre-dive routine. Before we start the math, make sure you have the required foundation. You need an open water certification or equivalent, and you will need access to a dedicated oxygen analyzer. Nitrox is a powerful tool for maximizing your dives, but that extended time is only accessible if you master the specific mathematical formulas required to stay within safe oxygen limits. Let's clear up a common misconception first. Reducing the nitrogen in your tank does not reduce gas narcosis. Oxygen has the exact same narcotic effect under pressure as nitrogen. Your total narcosis depth remains exactly the same as it would on standard air. The real risk of nitrox comes from the oxygen itself. When you dive deeper, the partial pressure of oxygen, or PO2, increases. If that pressure exceeds 1.4 atmospheres, it begins to damage your central nervous system. The most extreme consequence is a sudden, uncontrollable seizure underwater, which often leads to losing the regulator and drowning. This chart outlines the specific warning signs of central nervous system oxygen toxicity, known by the acronym VENTED. It stands for visual disturbances, ear ringing, nausea, twitching in the face or limbs, irritability, and dizziness. If you experience a single one of these physical symptoms, you must initiate a slow, controlled ascent to the surface immediately. However, you cannot rely on these physical symptoms to keep you safe. As noted in this warning box, an oxygen toxicity seizure can occur without any prior warning signs at all. Because you might skip the vented symptoms entirely, adhering strictly to your calculated depth limits is non-negotiable. There is also a secondary exposure risk, pulmonary oxygen toxicity. Extended exposure to higher oxygen levels irritates your lungs, causing chest pain and coughing. To prevent this, your total cumulative high oxygen dive time is strictly capped at 180 minutes per day. Your body will not reliably tap you on the shoulder before a fatal oxygen seizure occurs. Therefore, your personal intuition about how you feel underwater must be entirely replaced by calculated depth limits. To guarantee your oxygen exposure stays at a safe planned level, you must establish a hard physical ceiling for every dive. This is your maximum operating depth, or MOD. This is the standard formula to find that depth limit. You take the maximum safe oxygen partial pressure of 1.4, divide it by the fraction of oxygen in your tank, the FO2, subtract 1, and then multiply the result by 10. Let's run the math using the most common nitrox blend, EAN32, which contains 32% oxygen. Step 1. We take 1.4 and divide it by our FO2 of 0.32. That gives us 4.375. Next, we subtract 1, leaving 3.375. Finally, we multiply that by 10 to convert the pressure into physical depth. The raw result is 33.75 meters. For practical diving purposes, we round this to the nearest whole number. So 34 meters becomes the absolute maximum depth limit when you are breathing an EAN32 blend. That single number dictates your entire dive plan. Knowing your exact MOD is the critical piece of math in nitrox diving because it defines the exact boundary between a safe dive and a toxic environment. This diagram shows the international visual standard required to identify a nitrox cylinder before you attach your regulator. Look for the distinct yellow, green, and yellow bands wrapping around the tank, clearly marked with the word nitrox. After identifying the correct tank, you must personally verify the exact oxygen percentage inside that cylinder. This verification is your individual responsibility and must never be delegated to a dive master. To analyze the gas, open the tank valve slightly. Let flow steadily over your oxygen analyzer sensor. Wait until the digital reading completely stabilizes, usually around 10 to 30 seconds. Once that number settles, write it down on the tank's label and mentally log it. You will need this exact oxygen percentage, your FO2, to program your dive computer. A tank label only tells you what someone intended to fill it with. Trusting that label without personally verifying the gas creates a point of failure, compromising all the safety math you just learned. This brings us to the mandatory 6-step workflow you must complete on the boat or shore before every single Nitrox dive. As you can see, Step 1 is analyzing your gas, and Step 2 is calculating your maximum operating depth. Step 3 is programming your personal dive computer. You must actively switch the device into Nitrox mode and manually enter the specific FO2 percentage you just verified. If you forget to update this setting, your computer will use the wrong baseline data. That makes its tracking of your central nervous system limits, daily oxygen toxicity, and no decompression time dangerously inaccurate. Step 4 is planning your physical underwater route, ensuring the bottom topography keeps you strictly above your calculated MOD. In Step 5, you confirm your computer settings, your MOD, and your emergency response plans with your dive buddy. After you surface, complete Step 6. Record your dive metrics in your logbook, paying special attention to your cumulative daily oxygen exposure to ensure you stay under the 180-minute toxicity limits. This 6-step process translates abstract theory into a concrete, executable checklist. It ensures both you and your equipment are perfectly aligned for safety before you even hit the water. You've analyzed your own gas. You've calculated your exact maximum operating depth. You've correctly programmed those numbers into your dive computer. The setup is complete. Now, as you descend, remember the golden rule of high oxygen diving. Maintain strict, disciplined depth control. Under no circumstances can you allow your dive profile to drop below your calculated MOD. As long as you respect that depth boundary and your initial settings are accurate, your dive computer will automatically handle the complex toxicity and decompression tracking in the background. Stick to the mouth, follow your plan, and you can safely enjoy the massive advantage of extended bottom time on the reef.